Parmjeet Singh, who is the National President of Sikh Students Federation, a premier organization of Sikh students. He's a qualified lawyer. He runs a Sikh and Punjab-centric media platform called Sikh Siyasat, and he is the chief editor and administrator of this. So we welcome Mr. Parmjeet Singh.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Vanakkam and good evening to all the friends who are participating in this event from various regions. First of all, I would like to extend my thanks to the organizers for inviting me and giving me opportunity to connect with activists and intellectuals from various regions, listen to their views, and share our perspective on the issue at hand. Coming to today's topic, before discussing anything else, I want to share our understanding about the Delhi Takht, that is the New Delhi based seat of power, that is the Indian state. Delhi Takht is defined by a blended mix of influences made up of predominantly four layers. Firstly, it's imperialist political structure and nationalism and state building. Then we call it Bipar Sanskar, that is Brahmanism, caste-based social discriminatory social division and capitalism. Well, we know that British colonial rule over the region may have officially ended in 1947, but its imperialist political structure of domination, that is the Indian state, is still continuing on the same tracks to this day. The exploitation of natural resources and treatment of people as resources continues today. The psyche of this Indian state being imperialist is not something superficial. It is inherent in the very nature of India as a colonial project, which is inherited by the present state from British colonial rulers. The decisive power over the state structure remains in the hand of few so-called upper caste elite, while the desires and aspirations of diverse people, racial groups, social, political, cultural, religious, linguistic, so many diverse communities are repressed by purely state violence. When we talk about nationalism and state building in this peninsula, which is the second layer of Delhi Takht's characteristics, it becomes clear that in order to shackle the countless racial groups, cultures, nations, historical polities, and keep them subordinate to one centralized political structure, the nation building project was predominantly interwoven in the imperatives of the state building after 1947 partition. To achieve this vision, all of the state's institutions, including the education system, cinema, television, and other mechanisms of communication and culture, were developed in the state's nation building project in order to assimilate these various peoples into one artificially constructed Indian nation. Even today, the state does not govern with the consent and input of citizens, but instead imposes its policy on the masses to this policy with brute force, we can say. The history of past 7 decades stands witness to this. And the latest instance is, we all know, abrogation of Article 370 and unilateral stripping of special political status of Jammu and Kashmir, and turning it into a set of two so-called unions territories. Whatever happened in the case of Kashmir lifts all curtains, and we could see the hegemonic central structure and aspirations of Indian state in its naked form. The attitude of indifference adopted by mainstream participants of other regions of the Indian Union shows that the situation is far more serious than it appears. Then I would like to discuss the Bipar Sanskar or the Brahmanism, a caste-based discriminatory social system, which is another layer of Delhi Takhat or Delhi seat of power. As a result of Bipar Sanskar being at the foundation of the ruling core, the hierarchical discriminatory systems of Brahmanism are embedded in structures of the state and society. All peoples impacted by caste apartheid and economic deprivation are still struggling for their dignity, social, political, and economic equality. The elite, so-called upper caste, have tightened their grip over Delhi Takhat in recent years. We all know that. And as a result, they are pushing their chauvinistic project even more aggressively than any time before. This supremacist psyche is at the root of their desire to become a global superpower. And its aggressive tone is sharply intensifying day by day. In this regard, this elite propagates the mystic self-perception of itself as, we can say, guru of the world. The deteriorating relations of India with its neighbors is a result of this supremacist mindset. And we must understand that its approach towards those nations shackled within its border is not different from that. Delhi Takhat does not view these peoples as their own or as partners, but they are being seen as enemies. They are yet to be fully conquered. Those who advocate, we call it Sanjivalta, which means equality, fraternity, and peaceful coexistence. So, those who advocate equality, fraternity, and peaceful coexistence in the region have been increasingly marginalized. The last layer of Delhi Takht is its capitalist economic structure, which is in the past 3 decades has rapidly intensified the rate of concentrating as much capital as possible in the hands of a few major industrialists and corporations. Along these lines, successive Indian governments have conspired with the domestic and foreign capitalists to blindly exploit the natural resources and peoples of subcontinent, and we, the people of various regions, know that we have experienced this in all these times. Before the current corporate capitalist model was imposed, the Indian economic system purported to adopt a socialist economic model, which in reality was just state capitalism. In order to force the diverse multinational subcontinent into a homogenized nation state, it was necessary that all economic power remained highly centralized in the hands of Delhi Takhat as a pivotal tool of social and political engineering. That is why India's diverse regions were forced into economic dependence on New Delhi. And with the imposition of GST, the fiscal autonomy of states fiscal autonomy of states is completely snubbed, and state governments are now dependent on the union government. In present times, many states like Punjab are not able to pay salaries even to the medical staff, as union government is not releasing GST compensation fund. So as Indian states, unitary practices have been continuing since 1947. Many resistance movements have struggled against it. In order to build a meaningful and just relation among the peoples of this region, it is imperative to yield political power for the purpose of welfare for all, to which we call as we in Sikh culture we call it as Sarbat da Pala, welfare of all. In order to change the current political structure in this region, there are 5 or 6 prevalent visions that have been articulated amongst different communities and resistance movements. When Dr. Saab was introducing this session, he touched upon these points. First suggestion, which I think is based on the misconceived notion that Indian Constitution is capable of bringing justice, but the system faces a lack of honest leaders. This suggests that honest individuals can take over the current structures and address the massive shortcomings. This notion is misconceived because it is based on a wrongful understanding that there are no structural or fundamental problems with the present system. Uh, Whereas our understanding is that the present system has basic problems that are embedded in the foundations of its structure. Any attempt to change its outlook only won't yield any results. The second vision, which have been prevalent among resistant movements, is that it suggests that current structures merely require minor constitutional and structural reforms in order to fully implement justice and equality within the current confines. Then there is another vision, which is that India must be decentralized into a federal structure to allow more autonomy to regions. And the fourth one is that Indian state should be dismantled and divided into multiple sovereign countries like Nagaland, Kashmir, Tamil Nadu, or Khalistan. This kind of vision has also been there. And then there is another vision which says that all the subjugated people of this region should dismantle the present grip of Indian state, or dismantle the Indian state and establish multiple sovereign countries which develop a confederation to maintain means of corporation. This may look like similar to European Union. Dr. Sab already discussed it. So when we talk about practical, I could say when we talk about practical possibilities of these visions, it must be noted that Brahminical Delhi Takht has adopted the British colonial imperialist structure in its entirety, maintaining its foundations and foundations of exploitation and oppression. For this region, expecting justice and equality from current system is futile and meaningless. The structures of the Delhi Takht should be understood as the power source of Bipper imperialism, that is the Brahminical Samraj, of the Brahminical fascists have been dreaming about for years for this. So, keeping practical realities on the ground in mind, the most effective strategy which we see is that whoever is resisting against the domination of Delhi Takhat's Brahminical or this fascist project and political domination should form a united front, and recognizing the complex nature and diversity within and among each community and even in each region, it is not possible to establish a to form a unified goal and agreed upon system immediately at this stage. If we try to come on a single platform, or come on a united, I should say, a united platform, and we want to envision a unified goal. It is not possible at this time. So one common uniting factor is the desire to dismantle current structures of Delhi Takhat. So this is common in all resistance movements. After achieving this goal, each identity can determine what they envision and work toward whichever political structure they would like to develop in place. So, in conclusion, I could say that, as we all know, this region is quite a diverse region, and our our target is common. Target in the sense that the political structure that has tightened its grip so much that we don't feel independent or free from any kind of political subjugation. So to break that grip, we are united, and after breaking that group, various region or various people can decide that what kind of political structure they want in place after that. And this is all from my side. Thank you very much.
Parmjeet Singh, it's a very enlightening presentation you made, and I really would like to comment on this wonderful presentation. You pointed out the different layers of the Delhi seat of power, and the 6 different visions that people are operating with, and the need for forming a united front with a unified goal of dismantling the structure that we have. And I'm very happy to say that following the footsteps of Mr. Sendilnathan, a couple of us have formed a Indian Federation movement, kind of a tentative name, and trying to bring all different groups across the country who are thinking along these lines. And of course, Sendilnathan is a pioneer in this, and I know you have been working with him. And although you have been focusing on the language issue, we all should join hands now at this point and come together politically and start speaking the counter narrative. We cannot sit idle listening to this oneness narrative any longer. Thank you so much. It was very enlightening and beautiful. Thank you.